And the caption of this should have been turning 530,000 into $500 with Time Wonderland. Well, we were wondering when this was going to happen, and the time is now. What we like to say in crypto is that if it's too good to be true, more than likely it's probably a scam or a Ponzi scheme, or both. Now in this video we're going to be talking about the rise and demise of the infamous Time Wonderland, and how we got to this point in potentially one of the biggest scandals going into 2022. Now Time Wonderland itself was hyped just because it had this insane APY of 82,000. It was higher, it was at 87, 88,000 before, which is obviously a gimmick. These high APYs are tools to pull in new traders, to give you that false sense of hope that even if price drops, you'll have enough money to compensate for that and you'll still be making insane amounts of money. If you're in crypto around May, you saw this with the Binance Smart Chain and the shitcoin run, where all these projects were selling tokens for 0.000001. The reason why they do that is to give traders a false sense of hope, because there are people that were trading by dollar value versus market cap. And those are the people that get burned in the long term, because you have this illusion that one day this token might hit $1 and it will make you a billionaire or a trillionaire. But the fact of the matter is that 98% of projects are going to burn out in crypto, and more than likely that will be one of the 98%. Now Time Wonderland was built on the Avalanche chain, unfortunately, because it is one of my favorite ecosystems. And as you can see, they've gotten absolutely crushed with a $21 million market cap right now. And since its all-time high at around November 20th and from November 7th, we're at a 95% drop in price, going from almost $10,000 down to around $400. For lack of a better term, this is a shit show right now. Time Wonderland was an absolute hype monster. We saw a ton of different articles that look like this, turning 500 to 530,000 because of the APRs. And you also saw tons of YouTube videos like this, turning 2,000 into 1 million, turning 1,000 into 1 million, 8,000% to 1 billion% per year. These numbers are absolutely insane that they were throwing at people, and it's really unfortunate that so many people got caught up in this Ponzi scheme. Now Wonderland itself is a fork of Olympus DAO, and there are already a lot of flags on Olympus as it was. A lot of people forgot about the bank run that happened within Titan Finance. So basically you had this project that was able to offer people 87,000% return on their locked money, and everything was going well until Zach from Twitter decided that he needed to share this information from a conversation that he had with the other co-founder of Time Wonderland, Daniel. Where in the conversation he says, "Hey man, I came across something rather odd about Sifu." "Oh, what about Sifu?" "Well, he's the Quadriga guy." Where Daniel automatically goes in to say he cannot confirm nor deny what happened, but the problem is PR at this point. And his partner told him, and they talk about how he's going to be managing these things when it goes on. Now this was also tied in with Etherscan transaction reports, where people had actually saved Michael Petrin's name from his previous scam, which we're going to be going over, tying it in with Sifu as well. And here's some of his ins and outs of Paxos tokens that was part of the large scam as well. Which, going even further, you have someone else that had a Petrin wallet that was tagged, and this one also has tons of transactions going in and out with the name Sifu under it, exposing the alias of Sifu. So who exactly is this Sifu guy? This guy is actually Michael Petrin, and it doesn't actually start with just this Quadriga story, it goes deeper than that. And ironically enough, this guy is still active on Twitter, and he's reposting things about Wonderland TIME and so on and so forth. So I'm not necessarily sure why he's still around, but it's a strange thing that's happening altogether. So this wonderful gentleman right here is going to be Sifu, or you can also call him Michael Petrin, or you can also call him Danani, which is the name he went by through his other scam. So essentially, Michael Petrin was involved in a $160 million scam through a Canadian exchange called QuadrigaCX. And before that, he was actually involved in another scandal where he was actually spending time in the US prison, and then he was actually deported back to Canada. Mr. Petrin, or Mr. Danani, whichever you want to call him for this, he was an active member of shadowcrew.com, which was a site that was described by US prosecutors as a hub of online identity theft and activity. The website trafficked in more than 1.5 million in stolen credit cards and bank card numbers. He ended up serving 18 months in a federal prison and released in May in 2007. And as you can see, he also pleaded guilty to a number of charges, including second-degree burglary, grand theft. The records list his alias as Omar Petrin. So now we have Omar Danani, we have Michael Petrin, we have Omar Petrin, and we have Nazmeen Danani. So this guy clearly is using tons of different aliases to pull off these scams. Now, once he was done serving, he ended up going to QuadrigaCX and working under that company, which, as you can see, was a $190 million scam, so I was wrong. Now, the big thing about this is that him and the other co-founder that were involved were the only two that had access to this money that was stolen from this massive rug pool, QuadrigaCX, which is a Canadian exchange. And ironically enough, this guy that's in the picture, his name is Gerald Cotton. He was a 30-year-old co-founder of this Canadian exchange. He suddenly died on a honeymoon in India. He was inexplicably the only person with access to 190 million in cryptocurrency and fiat. But everything around his death was very sketchy. It's a place notoriously known for fake death certificates. It's from a disease that isn't typically fatal from someone that's so young. There are also hints that he died and was cremated the same day, and then his family and his loved ones were let know the following day after he was cremated that he passed away. So the whole thing is just very, very sketchy as a whole. Now, after all of this scandal, Michael Petrin ended up going under the radar and then began using the alias Sifu. And now we have Zach that's having these conversations with Daniel, who's basically telling us that he did find out that it is Michael Petrin and he doesn't necessarily know what to do with him. You know, he spent a lot of time with him recently. Do you think you should slowly get him out? And that's where he's asked, are you willing to put your entire rep on the line? No, you're not. Well, that's what you're doing. That's where Daniel steps out and says that Sifu is actually Michael Petrin, and he forces him to step down from Wonderland. Technically, he is voted out, but he was already asked to step down from Wonderland. This vote was passed with an 87% yes by the DAO community. And with that in mind, the whole community was looking for a way to turn this around and really rebuild the strength around Time Wonderland. You would assume that once this is complete, that they can move about their way. But instead, Daniel actually puts a post to see if they should wind down the Wonderland and give the treasury back to its holders, which, as you can see, the winning vote was no by 55%. And then what happens with this shit show of a scam that we're seeing? Daniel actually says no to them and says that he's going to ignore the community vote and announces the project's closure, leaving everyone on a whim, throwing a whole bunch of red flags, because Daniel also owns Abracadabra and Spell token, which is all tied together with Magic Internet Money, which is a one-to-one stablecoin. So everything is essentially just being moved over from Wonderland, or they're trying to move it over from Wonderland over to Abracadabra and Spell. We'll see how that actually works out, because as you can see, this is just getting messier and messier as the days go on. But it is 100% a red flag when you're going to ignore the vote of your community, especially when you're a DAO, you're a decentralized autonomous organization. They should be called a CAO, which would be a centralized autonomous organization. And this is the true crashing point of Time Wonderland. Now it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with this Sifu guy, Michael Petrin or Danani, or whoever else you want to call him. Because maybe there is something that happened on the back end. Maybe he did get access to some money. Maybe he was part of this whole rug pull. Maybe he just gets tied in with the Ponzi scheme in general, because at the end of the day, the only way that this project really was to work is to leave other people holding the bag. This is similar to what Hex does. And with these schemes, you want to be the first one in and the first one out. If you're the last one out, you're going to be holding a long time, or you're going to be taking out at a loss, because you're going to have to wait for the next round of marketing push, or the people that are the inside traders to put their money back in and then start their marketing push so that the chain can start and the domino effect can continue, and then you'll be able to cash out later on. But without someone actually holding the bag, these are Ponzi schemes and they do not work. An easy way to tell would have been looking at the total value locked on a project like this. Now, if you could take anything from what I was talking about in this video, make sure to remember to always look at total value locked when you're looking at DeFi projects. You always want the total value locked to be higher than the market cap. If the total value locked is lower than the market cap, that is a risky play. Now, as you can see, you only have 252 million total value locked here on a $585 million market cap. So let's say, for example, if someone had $100 million in this project, they can pull it and you're going to lose more than 30% of your total value locked in one play, which is going to cause this number to go crashing down immediately. When you're looking at a total value locked, you want to see projects like Aave that have a $2 billion market cap and $11.7 billion locked up, so that even if someone did take $100 million out, it's not relatively going to affect this massive market, this massive total value locked. Another option in DeFi that's really solid is Balancer. You only have a $131 million market cap, so this project still has a ton of room to grow on the upside, but your total value locked is at 2.8 billion, almost $3 billion. So there's a lot of money that's locked into here right now, and the market cap is relatively low, so that means there's an insane amount of room for growth. Now, unfortunately, if you're one of the people that you have your money in Time Wonderland, you're going to have to make that tough decision. Are you going to sell off the bag, so you're going to let it go to a graveyard and potentially see what happens? Obviously, this isn't financial advice. This is just recommendations of what I would do if I was in the situation. But it all comes down to if it was fuck you money, or if it's money that you really needed. If it's money that you could use, might as well take it out. If you don't really care about it, you might as well leave it in and see what happens, or move it to Spell or Abracadabra or one of the sisters or brothers of this project and see if maybe that will take off. But unfortunately, this is what happens when the Ponzi's win, when the scam is over. People end up losing big. And the caption of this should have been turning $530,000 into $500 with Time Wonderland. Now remember, when you're in the crypto scene, always do your own diligence when you're trading. Do your extensive research on these projects. Make sure everything is doxed. If you would have looked into Time Wonderland, there was no doxed team. No one showed their faces on anything. Look at the TVL. Is the TVL too low compared to market cap? Red flag. If you're not in our Discord group, please make sure to come join our crypto community. We'd love to have you come join our family and join the conversation. Hopefully you're having an amazing morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on wherever you're watching this in the world. This is going to wrap up the video, so if you didn't get a chance to, make sure to throw a like on the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll catch you on the next one.